Now, over the past few weeks, we brought you stories of tragedy and survival from the communities on the Gaza border attacked by terrorists. But few are as improbable as those of Irit Lahav, a resident of Kibbutz Nir Oz, who on the morning of October 7th initially took shelter in her home's safe room with her daughter, thinking this was just another round of rocket attacks. But she soon realized the terrorists were breaking into her home, and she had to find a way to seal the door of her safe room, which had no lock. She found the solution using some common household items. Well, joining us now is Irit Lahav, survivor of the Kibbutz Nir Oz massacre. She's joining us from now, relocated to Kibbutz Kramim. Irit, tell us about that morning of October 7th.
We woke up at 6:35 a.m. from the red alert, the color red, it's the missiles alert, and I quickly jumped out of bed in my pajamas, ran to the safe room, and called my daughter, Lotus, come. And she came quickly in. We closed the door, and we need to wait 25 seconds. And we heard the missiles, the bombs, and right away we heard another color red. So my daughter says, let me go out, get the dog in. She ran outside, got the dog in, grabbed my phone, luckily. So we went inside, and she says, Mom, I hear shooting. I said, nah, it can't be. This is just, bombs. We're used to bombs. And then my neighbor texted us a message in our neighborhood saying, somebody's shooting my house. And I was like, no way, no, it cannot be. A second later, my other neighbor sent a text message to all of us saying that he sees armed Palestinians and lock your doors. And I thought, lock the door? How do I lock the door? These doors don't lock. These doors are for missiles, not for against human trying to break open the doors. So I started to really panic because right away we started hearing automatic weapon from all corners of the kibbutz. We are a small kibbutz. Kibbutz Nir Oz only has 420 people. That's all. Automatic weapon, grenades everywhere at the same time. Endless shooting, and we start to shake from fear, knowing that any minute they can come in. We turned off the lights, silent. I didn't even want to talk to or whisper to my daughter from this fear. So we just text to each other. I wrote something on my cell phone, gave her the cell phone, and I'm thinking all the time, the door doesn't lock. If they coming to our house, we're dead. That's it. So I sent a text message to the kibbutz. We have our own messaging system. How does one lock the door? Nobody knew. Nobody even thought that the doors don't lock. So I started again and again, no response, or people didn't know. So I text the same question to my family, and then I received this picture from my brother who lives 5 kilometers away in Moshav Ein Absor. This is how we did it. And I saw, okay, that's an idea. I can do something similar. Now we sit in the dark, keep silent. We hardly breathe from the fear. If they hear us, we are dead. So I'm trying to think quickly in this dark. What do I have that looks similar to broomsticks? This is just my office. I have books, I have a desk, I have a computer. But what do I have else that could resemble this? And I remember that I have an oar, a rowing stick for a boat.
Sure.
From my childhood that I kept as a memory. I took that, and then I needed another piece of stick. So thinking. Okay, my vacuum cleaner, the Dyson vacuum cleaner, I took it apart and I used the hose of the vacuum cleaner, and I make jewelry. So I told my daughter, whispering, open a drawer. Take the leather string from down there, and then she opens the drawer. We don't even think about it. We just open and move things. But in this time that you have to be quiet, every thing that you touch makes a sound that you think, oh, they will hear us. They will come right away. Anyway, she pulled out the string and I tied it strongly. I realized that I cannot do like my brother's system because the vacuum cleaner hose doesn't go all the way through. So I put it so that it will push the door handle so they won't be able to move it open. Tied it really strongly, the heart is beating, your whole body is shaking. Just you hear all this automatic weapon, grenades all the time, all the time, all the time, and they can come in every minute. I finally finished, thought it was strong enough, piled a lot of books between the door and where we were hiding under the table, and we crawled under the table. And then I realized that from the shaking and the fear, I bumped into the table, and we sit on the table, and it's uncomfortable. You just move, you go, and it's so scary.
Right, you
So
were in there for how long in the safe room, Irit?
11 and a half hours under the table. 11 and a half hours. And of course, they came in soon enough. They approached, they shot the house with an automatic weapon from all the sides. They were shouting loud voices in Arabic. We entered at 6:35. At 10:30, they arrived to our house. As I said, they shot from all sides. They broke the whole house. We heard a lot of banging and banging and banging and all the shouting and shouting, loud voices in Arabic. And they approached the door, and they tried to open and they bang and they get angry and they bang it and they try. And we were sure that we will die. I was sure that they will open, and my daughter and I were just laying down on the floor, holding hands, and started to say beautiful words to each other. My daughter was saying how much she loves me and she appreciates everything I did for her. And I said to her many, many loving words. And we just laid down on the floor, holding hands and saying goodbye, basically, to each other.
Right.
Luckily, they couldn't open after 8 longer minutes, and they moved on, breaking more of our house, moved out. Moved to the next door, next neighbor, same thing, shooting. We heard a lot of breaking things, moved to the other neighbors. Then when they moved to the neighbors that live in front of me, when they were using all this automatic weapon, and I heard their daughters, they have a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old daughters. They were screaming and crying. I was sure they took them out and killed them from the screaming and crying.
What was the point at which you finally could come out of the safe room?
6 o'clock in the evening. 6 o'clock in the evening. And 11 and a half hours of despair, really, fear.
I just want to ask you, Kibbutz, after that experience, are you ready to go back to the Kibbutz at Nir Oz, which suffered terrible losses, and live again in that community so near to Gaza?
Well, it's a good question. I cannot even think about the next hour, really. Your whole world is shattered suddenly. It's something that one doesn't think that they will face in their whole life. So I'm at the stage now that I don't even believe that such a thing could have happened. Will I go back? I don't know. It's so scary. Why would I want to put myself in such a scary situation again?
Well,
it's terrible. I really don't wish for anybody to be in such a terrible fear.
Right, sure. Well, all I could say is I do hope, with the sacrifices being made, that there will be a safer future for the residents of those communities there on the border with Gaza. And let's, I guess, thanks to God, saved by a vacuum hose and a rowing oar miracle. It's nice to hear some miracles and survival amidst all this terror and mourning that we're all going through, and I'm sure also you're experiencing.
And we wait for all the hostages to come back and, with us, be happy together,
Irit, Lahav, thank you for joining us on I-24 News to tell your story.
Thank you. Thank you so much for putting those stories out.